Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today is a really important topic in the world of Archoral, as it sits very closely with myself and my co-founder, Laverne. We're going to talk about photoreminiscence therapy and how it can have a really positive impact on people with cognitive disorders of any level and any kind. It doesn't need to be an Alzheimer's or a dementia. Cognitive recognition, you have to think about your brain like a muscle. You have to work it in order to keep it active, in order to keep it going. And so those electrical impulses need to fire on a regular basis to keep charged. That's just my kind of analogy on how that works. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started with today's presentation because we have a lot to cover in a very short time period. So let me share and we'll get going. The title for today is Supporting Memory Through Story, Using Archoral with Cognitive Decline. All right, so this is our agenda for today. We are going to talk about why this matters so much to us here at Archoral and how it impacts us personally. We're going to talk a little bit about what is photoreminiscence therapy. We're not going to get technical, so don't freak out. It's going to be a nice overview. Then we're going to move over to our application and we're going to look at our person profiles, the additional names as display names. This is one of our most helpful, we find, for people. We're going to look at profile storytelling. Then we're going to go to the media indexer and we're going to explore how to use that for specific events in someone's life. We're going to look at media storytelling and we're going to talk about connecting photos to audio files so that you have a dual sensory application for memory jogging. We're going to look at recording during video playback. This is just a nice little tip. It took me a while to figure out how to do it, and it's all technology related, so we'll get that straightened out. Then we're going to tour a little bit about location profiles. This is a brand new way to really think about jogging and connecting memories. We're going to look very quickly at how to make meaningful collections so that it's easier for this process. And then at the end, we have two handouts for you this time. One of them is a little deeper dive into the science behind photoreminiscence therapy. And the second one is a detailed guide on setting yourself up for success in using these sessions, both for just memory and for calming purposes. So those are two really great handouts you'll want to stick around for. So why this matters to us. This is my husband, Charlie. We are in our 50s and he has FTD, which is frontal temporal degenerative dementia. Laverne's mama is Jean and she has advanced dementia. Her husband, Dan, his mom is Norma, and she has advanced Alzheimer's. Now, all three live at home with us. Charlie and I are home alone, and Jean and Norma live with Laverne and Dan. So these are topics that we live every day and we implement every day. So rest assured that the guide that I'm going to give you has been developed by two users, two people that are knee deep in our three respective journeys. All right. So what is photoreminiscence therapy? It is a therapeutic approach for personal photographs, audio recording, video stimulating memories. It encourages communication for people experiencing memory loss. If you think about it, a lot of people's memories kind of stop at a certain point in time, and then it's harder for them to retain the future ones. So the more that we revisit, the more they stay connected to their environment and their people. And who doesn't get a little bit of joy when we're going back through our past, our friends, our family, and our events? So what this is actually doing is stimulating neural pathways. Both visual and auditory media activate areas of the brain responsible for memory and emotion. This is really the quickest and easiest way to access those neural pathways and keep them firing. They help to preserve or even sometimes reconnect some of those neural links. It encourages verbal expression. A lot of people end up dealing with aphasia. Aphasia is the loss of either the ability to find your words, the ability to understand your words, or sometimes, like in our case, both. So by promoting storytelling and naming and conversation, you're keeping those verbal skills active and functioning, and it supports a longer retention of those skills. Then it also supports procedural memory. So this is the routine of doing things. If you think about they say, how many days does it take to create a habit? It's the same way with your brain. The more you exercise, let's say mathematics, the more you do mathematics, the more your brain starts to think that way. It's the same with recalling memories and getting those synapses to fire in the appropriate order. So the more we're creating a routine, it can reinforce those habits, not just in the person, but cognitively. And that is a really important part of preserving brain function and delaying what is unfortunately the inevitable. So this is my quote for the day. You ready? Unlike memory exercises that test recall and cause agitation, this method focuses on emotional connection and engagement, not correctness. So it's not about passing a test, it's about enjoying the moment. Anyone that has visited a neurologist goes through those tests of draw me a clock that says 3, draw a square, repeat the image that I'm doing. And the more difficulty that causes, the more agitation that's created. This method of an emotional connection is meant to do the exact opposite. It's meant to connect and calm people, and it has an amazing effect. So let's move over to Archoral and actually see this in real life. So this is your dashboard. When you open your Archoral account, this is where you're going to land. There's a whole lot here to help you archive your family. And I promise you we have videos on every single piece. But today we're going to talk specifically about how to use certain features to assist in that memory recall. We're going to start up here at our profiles. And we're going to take a look at Caleb. This is where I throw in my caveat that we have created an AI family so that my family's information stays private and I can take these folks on any journey we need. So you're going to see some funny cartoon photos and a lot of crazy information, but that's the reason behind it. So we are sitting on Caleb's profile. The first thing that I like to start with is the name. Now, we know people by different names throughout the course of their lives. A simple example is we know someone by their maiden name or we know someone by their married name. I've been married for 15 years and I am still in my mother's phone under my maiden name. That's just how she recalls me. This is something that can really mess up an archive if you are working on actual family history preservation. So we've created a little treat for you on how to manipulate without destroying. If you look over here under Caleb, we're going to have his profile photo, and then we're going to have his full name, Caleb Anthony Johnson. Then you'll see underneath it the little initials CJ. CJ is a nickname. Where did I get that from and how did I put it there? This additional name section is how we did it. In additional names, you can capture everything from stage name to married name, double-barreled name, nickname. The list is pretty endless. You've got the type and you've got some notes. So if you look down here at the bottom one, I have a name, The Runner. It's a nickname and it's what mom remembers him by. Caleb was always running. He was running to school, he was running to work, he was running past the house, and mom would just go, oh, there goes the runner again. So that's how she knew Caleb, not by his name. So let's see how we can make this effective when we're sharing his profile with mom. We're going to come down here to edit profile, and you're going to see that we have a display name and we have a secondary name. I can take display name and I can change it to the runner. And the secondary name, I can either leave blank or I can make whatever I want. I know him by CJ, so we'll pick that one. We're going to come down here and click save. All right, so what that's done is it has made his profile card the runner, CJ. Now when mom sees that, that's what she's going to recognize. So let's go back to the beginning a little bit and see what that did for us. If I go back to our original profile page, I can still search by Caleb and look at what his card is called, the runner. So I can still search the archive the way that I know it and present it to the way that mom knows it. It's a really nice connective tissue for memory banks that may have stopped a few days or decades ago. But let's look at timeline. Timeline is something that gives you sections of life. It gives you chapters to look at and think about. So when you're in this timeline, we capture so much more than birth, marriage, children, and death. So you can put events and birthday parties and Christmas parties and all kinds of different media against each event, giving you photos that are static visual references for your loved one, also audio and video that gives you an auditory or the benefit of an auditory and a visual. So let's take a look at the birth of Nathan. We're going to come over here to this indexer. This is blue, so it means there's media there. And when I click it, it's going to open all of the media that I've attached to that event. And here we go. So this is the birth of his son. And look, I started it with a picture of grandma holding her brand new grandson. This allows you to move through here and explore with your person. But there's an added benefit. We have this tab down here called storytelling. Storytelling allows you to record your loved one telling their memories about this event or this photo, this particular environment. Now, over here in audio, I think I did, yes. So this particular audio is a voicemail. So we're pretending that our AI family, that Caleb and his wife Alicia were at the hospital, they were out of town and they were giving birth to their son. Well, grandma wasn't there, but she left this beautiful voicemail congratulating them. So it's in her own voice and it's connected to the moment that it represents. So we were able to bring in that audio file. Then instead of just having that gray playhead logo here, we can link media. So now we're giving those two different kinds of cognitive recall, visual and auditory. So by linking media, it's going to open everything in the archive. So it doesn't have to be a photo that is exactly representative of the audio. It is a photo that is representative of whatever your loved one needs to recall and connect. And in this case, I chose Halloween because it makes her happy. It makes her think of children and it makes her smile. So listening to her voicemail that she's leaving, I wanted to evoke something joyful for that memory. And down here in storytelling, what I did is played this audio recording for her. Then you come down here and you click record, and she can tell you her memories, her stories, what her environment was like, what her feeling was. Even ask her if she was cooking, what were the smells in the environment, because that is one thing that unfortunately computers can't replicate, that your sense of smell is actually your strongest memory jogger. So down here in storytelling, I have the transcript. I can hear the story that she's leaving, but I can also view the transcript about the story that she's telling. So if I find information I want to index back in, I can. There's two audio recordings going on here, the voicemail and then the storytelling. So let's go back to something a little more simple. If I'm going through these photos and I'm just clicking down them, I can come to storytelling and I can say, click to record. And I can say, Mama, look at that beautiful baby. What an amazing thing to have happen. Now, notice I didn't ask who is the baby or where are they? Because those are definitive things that need a correct or incorrect answer to them. Remember, I said earlier, this is not a test. This is not about right and wrong. This is about enjoying the moment. So part of the handouts that we have for the end of this is how to create open-ended storytelling prompts for people, because the one thing you don't want to do is have them emotionally shut down. Okay, so when you have a video, something that I have come to realize is that when you're doing the storytelling, recording, and playing the video at the same time, you get audio overlap. A great way around that is headphones. I have some AirPods that are corded, and I can put the AirPods in and I can have them listen to the video or the audio and capture their story in real time through that microphone on that headphone cable, and it gives me clear audio. It also, added benefit, helps keep them in that kind of surround sound environment. It's kind of that echo in your head in a good way. Okay, so let's go back to profiles a little bit. We're going to go back to Caleb again. Yes, he's the one that I've built out the most for our webinars, so he's where I play. So on profile, we also have that storytelling benefit. Something that I think is an amazing way to use this is to come down to storytelling and click Add Additional. It works the same exact way. And do click to record and say, oh my goodness, I remember the runner. He used to come by the house every day at breakfast. And then just let them go. Let them tell you all about the person. So I don't have any particular media to tell stories against, but I can visit the person. And that allows not only their memories to flow, but for you to gather data to put back into your archive to enrich the profile for each one of these people. Now, who's telling the story? This feature is in, like I said, storytelling works the same in both places. So who's telling the story? This could be me, meaning the archivist, the person that owns the archive, or I can say on behalf of. Now, this speaker name field is searchable. So if I am sitting with Alicia and she's the one telling the story, I can put in Alicia. But you know what? Maybe this is a family event. Maybe it's a birthday party and we're revisiting mom's 6th birthday party home movies. And so we're going to talk about those. I'm going to have a couple of family members there. I'm going to have Sophia there, and I'm going to have Michael there. So as you see, it doesn't have to be a one-on-one individual. It's still going to record the story, and it's still going to give you that beautiful transcription of the story. Now, these storytelling sessions can record for an hour at a time. They can record and transcribe an hour at a time. Now, I give you kudos if you can get someone to sit still for an hour, but just letting you know that you really can just let things flow. You don't have to worry about rushing or trying to move along or do too much at once. You have time. Enjoy it. So we looked a little bit about how to do the additional names. We looked about going into our indexer and doing storytelling against media and bringing in both the visual and the auditory connections. And we looked at how to just talk and talk and talk about a person. So it's not just your family that is part of our choral, it's your environment. So if you notice in Caleb's relationships, we have family, but we also have teachers and fellow athletes and employees. So when a person wants to wander around through their memories, you can say, I'm going to go to Evelyn and I'm going to say, oh my goodness, you told me a story once that she taught you math. I wonder if she was a very good teacher. Now, see, that was an open-ended. I didn't say, was she a good teacher? I said, I wonder if she is. So I allowed openness to flow as opposed to definitive answers. That is really the key of what we found with our family. So I can do add additional and I can do the storytelling and just let her go crazy on anybody's profile. If she starts talking about a neighbor and you don't have them in there, I tell you what, you go back here to the dashboard real quick and you go create profile and you type in real quick, what was her name? Nana. Okay, Nana. Oh, life status. Haha, living. We're going to go to Nana. Go ahead and keep them talking, keep them a little engaged, and then come back down here and click to record. And that took me just a couple of seconds to create that profile. And I didn't have to put a whole bunch of information in. I just needed a place to put it. So Nana is who she mentioned. I'll figure out who Nana is later. I'll put in more details about her later. But right now, we're in a memory flow and we just want to capture what she has to say. So I created it real quick. I hit click to record and off I go. I can come back later and put in, this is actually a storytelling description. So you can talk about, we're sitting at the house, it's her birthday party, these are the people that are over, any of the details that are kind of the situation, the source. This is a descriptor. You can put that in later, you can put a caption in later, you can put the names in later. The whole purpose is just getting it in right now. So if I'm going back here to Caleb, did I have, yes. So when I do this, I can edit it. And this is what I mean by I can come back in later and add all of this information. Stay in the moment, stay in the enjoyment. So there's one more thing that I like to share with people that most folks don't think about. When they're going through memories and they're talking about life events, so often people get stuck in talking about person to person, talking about grandma, talking about the neighbor, talking about the people that are at an event. But that is really just a unidirectional way of looking at the world. The other way that you can look at the world is by location. Your environment has an impact on you. Your personality changes when you enter a school versus enter a church versus go to the auto mechanic. Your personality changes at each environment, so your memories and your interactions change. Location profiles can be made just as simply as person profiles. I can go up here and I can say profile name, Granny's garden house. Privacy type private, that's it. Save and add details. And I can go in here to the timeline and I can say, tell me all about Granny's garden house. I remember stories that she had beautiful bird and butterfly gardens and just let them go. Then you can take that information and put it back into the profile to enrich it. So Tuesday's webinar is very much connected to this one. That webinar is about archiving without media. So you're starting to see the evolution of how we can start getting details, getting stories, getting context for all of these random pieces. And as long as we put it in there and we preserve it, we can revisit it later. So imagine that she tells you all kinds of stories about Granny's garden house, when it was built or where it was or the town it was in or who came to visit, the activities that they had that would tell you about Easter when she was a child. You put all those in here. Now, your next visit, your next reminiscence session, you come into Granny's garden house and you've got some things in there that can motivate new conversations, that you can continue the topics and build upon it. So that's a big thing that we're going to get into on Tuesday, and I would love for you to join us on that one. Something that I also want to make sure that everyone understands is this is not just about memory preservation and preserving your family's story and archiving. This has also been proven to be extremely helpful in situations of agitation, of sundowning, of confusion, of moments of disconnection. If you are going to have a celebration at the house and mom or dad or husband may not remember a lot of the people that are coming over, pull up some profiles of some people that are going to be attending before the party starts. Get them to visualize and reconnect with those people in the time periods that they recall. So when they actually arrive, there's a little bit less agitation. You start feeling a connection. Happy memories also have an amazing calming effect. So you can use your archive as medicinal value. When someone is having trouble with something, they're having a hard time completing a task and they're getting frustrated, sit them down someplace quiet and just bring out your phone, bring out your tablet. You don't have to set up an environment, and just sit with them and let them watch videos of them running around the park when they were a kid, something that makes them giggle. And you'll start to actually see the stress relieved from their bodies and their shoulders relax. And what that's doing is freeing up those neurons, freeing up those synapses that were getting overcharged, and calms them. Then I betcha you go back to the same exact task that you were trying to get them to accomplish, like eating, taking medication, bathing, a lot of the things that they fight us over. They've now calmed, elevated their mood, elevated their emotions, and are generally going to be much more accepting of the tasks at hand. There's a lot that you can do, and as you can see, we are very touched by this at Archoral, and hence the design for it, the need for it. So let's take a look at what we just covered, because I know it was a lot. We learned about photo reminiscence and did kind of a high level of what it's all about. We took a look at person profiles because that's where most people go when they think about reminiscing. Structuring profile names for familiarity does not disconnect or destroy your archive in any way. Using storytelling about themselves and others, it's a great way to capture those family memories, but it's also a great way for someone to just sink back into the memory banks and enjoy the ride. The media indexer, we looked at storytelling there against individual pieces of media. You can do photos, documents, audio, and video. And don't forget, if you do your audio and your video, have some headphones with a microphone so you don't get the cross-contamination of the audio. Connecting photos to the audio files gave you that dual recognition. Location profiles was a new way to start jogging memories. Familiar location naming, using profile data to invoke memories. That's where I was saying you take an empty profile, capture it, input a little, you've got more to work with on your next visit. Creating meaningful collections is something we didn't look at visually, but if you think of our collections as dynamic folders that actually work and function and work together, when you're creating those collections, I prefer to do them by family branch, but then I also prefer to do collections by topic. So if someone was a car collector or someone was an artist or someone bred horses, those are some topics that you can get lost in all by themselves. And if they're interjected into family stories and family events, it can get a little confusing to the viewer. So we don't want to view things in grid form or in mass or in things that jump all over the world. Notice what I did. I didn't open collections in the indexer. I went from a singular person's profile to a singular event timeline, to a singular event collection of media. I didn't open multiple collections. I didn't open multiple folders. I kept it simple and clean, one sitting at a time. Don't overwhelm, because that's what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to calm and enjoy. The benefits of each section. I talk a lot, so I know I've covered this one about how it can connect and keep that exercising going. Creates the connection, preserves the connectivity to each other and neurologically. So the benefits are internal and external. There's no doubt in my mind. So that is Archoral and how we can use this for memory preservation, not just for archiving purposes, but for medical, emotional, and not just the sanity of the person with the cognitive decline, but calming scenarios for the sanity of the caregiver. So that is everything that I have to share with you. I really want to stress that next Tuesday's webinar is a complete, perfect continuation of this. While it's not going to be primarily cognitive focused, it's going to show you how to build upon the recordings that you've made, how to put those into your system so that your next memory recall session is that much more detailed and that much more expanded. And I think you'll find that both of you really enjoy these sessions, and they can even become weekly activities. So that is our choral. Thank you for joining, and happy archiving.